Greetings, Magic players. This is Steve of Untapped Games. It's fall. That means that there's a new Magic the Gathering set, and it's Battle for Zendikar, so I'm really excited. This is a follow-up on the story behind the first Zendikar block. And in this particular storyline, the Eldrazi have broken loose, and Zendikar is swarming with them, and the people of Zendikar are going to fight back. The Eldrazi are sort of like Lovecraftian horror type creatures, and our man Gideon on the front is getting ready to fight. I think it's Ulamog back there. So we're really excited. This set has some really crazy cards in it. So let's check it out. I did not get to go to the pre-release. I had a wedding to go to, unfortunately. So congratulations to the happy couple, but I didn't get to see any Expeditions lands. So there are a cycle of special slotted lands called Expeditions lands. They appear in the Mythic Rare slot, and they are extremely expensive. They're foil full art cards that are all lands, and they're like the fetch lands and shock lands, so they're really good. So let's check out our rare for this pack. Guldra's Overseer, 4 and 2 black for a vampire with flying. It's 3/4. Landfall, whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, other creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn. If that land is a swamp, those creatures get +2/+0 until end of turn. It's instead. So Landfall was in the original Zendikar block. It's back. So lands do stuff. That's pretty cool. And then I got a basic land that is a full art. So that's one of the great things about this set is that we have humongous art on all of these basic lands. So that's awesome. And I got a core ally token, not bad. As I was saying about the Expeditions lands, they're very rare. I'm hoping to get one. Oh man, that would be so awesome. Because they are really going for a lot these days. So I got Felidar Sovereign. This is a reprint, 4 and 2 white for a Cat Beast, 4/6 Vigilance lifelink at the beginning of your upkeep. If you have 40 or more life, you win the game. Obviously great with things that have lifelink like this and life gain decks. So it's an alt win condition, pretty cool. Got a full art mountain. And a Knight Ally. Allies making their return again. For those of you who didn't play the original Zendikar, Ally is a creature type and interacts with other allies. So they had a lot of enter the battlefield style effects. In case I don't get another opportunity, I'm just going to talk about Devoid right now. Devoid is this ability, this keyword here. It's very simple. So Mist Intruder is 1 in a blue, Eldrazi Drone. Devoid, this card has no color, so even though you had blue in the casting cost, doesn't matter. This is a colorless card, so it's not affected by things like protection from blue and other things that affect blue cards. So blue's only used in the casting cost. And it also has another ability here, so this was a good pick to talk about. Ingest, whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, that player exiles the top card of his or her library. So that's the Eldrazi ability, this set. It's replacing Annihilator, which this is much weaker than Annihilator, but it's basically, it turns Annihilator, which is about sacrificing, into milling, which is, it's a lot more tame. Let's check out our rare. Lumbering Falls, not bad. So Lumbering Falls enters the battlefield tapped. Tap to add a green or a blue to your mana pool. And it's got an ability that says 2 of green or blue. Lumbering Falls becomes a 3/3 green and blue elemental creature with hexproof until end of turn. It's still a land. This is part of a cycle of dual lands that turn into man lands. It's a cycle of man lands. So they're dual lands that turn into creatures that have an ability. And hexproof is a really good ability. You can use it to prevent land destruction. You can also use it to just smack face with something that can't be removed. And yeah, this will pair well with a lot of the cards in this set that put +1/+1 counters on lands, because you can just get a huge hexproof creature swing through. So fun. I'll put that over here. And then I also got a foil Dominator drone. And then I got planes. I also got an Ob Nixilis emblem. Hopefully we'll see Ob Nixilis later. I'd love to get planeswalkers. Always like planeswalkers. All right. Oran Reef Hydra. So I got, it's 4 and 2 green for a Hydra with trample. Landfall: whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on Oran Reef Hydra. If that land is a forest, put 2 +1/+1 counters on Oran Reef Hydra instead. And it starts at 5/5. That's pretty cool. It's a little expensive, but it's powerful. Firemantle Mage foil. I'm gonna put my other foil. I'll find it later. Okay, here's an ally. Speaking of allies, Beastcaller Savant. 1 and a green for an Elf Shaman ally. It has haste. Tap to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Spend this mana only to cast a creature spell, and it's a 1/1. So that's a cool little mana dork there. It's sort of almost like a Llanowar Elves, except he comes out the turn after he normally would come out, and he occupies another mana slot, but he has haste, so you can use that right away. And honestly, it's not so bad that it's to cast a creature spell, because he's probably being used in an ally deck where a lot of your spells are creature spells anyways. So yeah. And then that ally, that becomes relevant, the ally keyword, because after all, if he enters the battlefield, there's already an ally in play. A lot of times that ally will have an ability that that is activated when he comes into play. So that's cool. Not activated, but triggered. I'm sorry. And I had an octopus token there too. Okay. Dust Stalker. Here's our first Eldrazi, I believe. Yep. So this is 2, a black and a red for an Eldrazi. It has Devoid, which means it has no color. So you see this special Devoid background here with the sort of stony runes up there. And it has haste. At the beginning of each end step, if you control no other colorless creatures, return Duststalker to its owner's hand, and it's a 5/3. So 5/3 with haste for 4 is not bad, but you need to keep other colorless creatures in play in order to prevent him from returning to your hand. So not the hardest thing to do if you're running a Devoid deck. I've seen a lot of people have been testing stuff, proxying up decks based on spoilers, and it looks like some people might be trying to go 5 colors, which is interesting to me. It might make for an interesting format, because it's like 5 colors, good stuff. Shambling Vent, here's another man land. Enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap it to add a white or a black to your mana pool, and for 1, a white and a black, it becomes a 2/3 white and black elemental creature with lifelink until end of turn. It's still land. So that's not a bad one. Lifelink, always welcome. Goes my other man land. Also got an Eldrazi Scion. I'm getting a lot of these tokens, which is cool. I like tokens more than I like little advertisements in my packs. It's like, yeah, I know, you guys sell t-shirts, whatever. Okay. Alright, Serpentine Spike. 5 and 2 red. It's a sorcery. Well, that's a really horrifying picture. So Devoid has no color. Serpentine Spike deals 2 damage to target creature, 3 damage to another target creature, and 4 damage to a third target creature. If a creature dealt damage this way would die this turn, exile it instead. Man, he's just not really reacting to the fact that he's got a giant tentacle going through his chest. He's just like, yeah, whatever. And then you could see the other 2 victims back there. See, that guy, that's how I'd feel if there was a giant serpentine spike going through my chest. Not just like, yep, this is fine with me. Anyways, good removal. Well, expensive removal. Put that with my colorless Devoid stuff there. And I got an Eldrazi Scion. I am looking forward to playing Limited in this format because I didn't get to do, as I said, this is like one of the coolest. Drana, Liberator of Malakir, 1 and 2 black for legendary creature, vampire ally, flying, first strike. Whenever Drana, Liberator of Malakir deals combat damage to a player, put a +1/+1 counter on each attacking creature you control, and it's 2/3. Amazing for ally decks. Really cool. And she has really awesome art. I really like her vampire crown there. So really fun stuff. My first mythic. Put that over here. As I was saying though, I didn't get to play. I'm really sour. I didn't get to play the pre-release because I love playing pre-releases, and so I'm gonna make that up in draft, or maybe I'll play League. I'll make that promise to myself. I'll play League next week. All right. So Radiant Flames. It's 2 and a red for a sorcery. It has Converge, which is a new keyword. It deals X damage to each creature, where X is the number of colors of mana spent to cast Radiant Flames. So you can have a maximum of 3 colors, so this does a max 3 damage, but it does it to each creature. So in a 3-color deck, or 3 or more color, I guess, this does potentially a pretty good sweep of damage. I don't have a red pile yet. It's going to start right there. Get these lands out of here. Okay. And I got a Royal Mage's Trick. It's a common foil. Knight ally. Okay. So far, no blue. Rares, at least. Well, sort of spoke too soon. Well, yeah. I mean, this is sort of blue. Drowner of Hope, 5 and a blue for an Eldrazi with Devoid. When it enters the battlefield, put 2 1/1 colorless Eldrazi Scion creature tokens onto the battlefield. They have sacrifice this creature, add 1 colorless to your mana pool. And you could sacrifice an Eldrazi Scion to tap target creature, and it's a 5/5. So it's pretty cool. You know, that's mostly for, I guess, tapping down blockers, and well, there's a lot of things you could do with that. It's multi-use. But it's going to go over my colorless pile, so technically no blue yet. Eldrazi Scions. Hey, this is exactly what he makes. Eldrazi Scions. Okay, here's the last of my first column. I get a Blight Herder. So completely colorless. So it's a 5 mana Eldrazi Processor. So this is a new creature type. When you cast Blighthearter, you may put 2 cards your opponents own from exile onto their owner's graveyards. If you do, put 3 1/1 colorless Eldrazi Scion creature tokens onto the battlefield. They have sacrifice this creature, add 1 to your mana pool, and it's a 4/5. So this is interesting. It's a weird mechanic. I guess I kind of like it because it emphasizes how alien the Eldrazi are. But the Eldrazi are capable of exiling things in a multitude of ways. So like ingest, what we saw ingest before. But then you could still interact with processors, interact with stuff that your opponent has in exile, and it puts it into their graveyard. I don't know what that means in lore-wise. Maybe it means that they get swallowed and then spit back out. And I guess, I don't know. But pretty interesting. Yeah, I guess that does mean because you're ingesting them, so they're getting swallowed, and then you're putting them into the owner's graveyard, and the Eldrazi are getting something out of it. So they get to make their little dudes, their little buddies that make mana for them. And I got a Radiant Flames. Hey, there's a foil rare. So we already saw that. Here's a foil version of it, and then planes and a plant. Plants are good guys in this set. Wizards actually advised people, in addition to all the other sort of cutouts and props that you could use for the pre-release, they advised people to kind of turn your store into a jungle, so we actually put a bunch of plants everywhere in our store. Ooh, I like this guy. Noyan Dar Royal Shaper, 3, a white and a blue. Legendary creature, Merfolk ally. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you may put 3 +1/+1 counters on target land you control. If you do, that land becomes a 0/0 elemental creature with haste that's still a land, and it's 4/4. I imagine he would be really good with that Lumbering Falls, because you just whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, you're adding tokens, or not tokens, counters to Lumbering Falls, and then you stand up Lumbering Falls. Now it's a hasted 6/6 with hexproof, which is pretty good. I like it. He is a little expensive. He's 5, but hey, with that ability and those stats, and he's an ally, I'm sure that he could see some play somewhere. I'm going to put him with my colorless because he's multicolored. I know that's not right, but whatever. Eldrazi Scion. I think that he would be a fun card to play. I hope I get him in limited, because it would be really fun to make a deck that was about just turning all your lands into guys. Emeria Shepherd, she's cool too. So that's 5 and 2 white for a creature, angel. Flying 4/4, landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may return target non-land permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. If that land is a plains, you may return that non-land permanent card to the battlefield instead. So just to parse that, whenever you put down a plains, you just take something out of your graveyard that's a permanent, it's not a land, and you're putting it right onto the battlefield. So that goes for stuff like Siege Rhino with enter the battlefield effects. That goes for, yeah, it's great. It goes for hasted creatures. You can just, too bad that guy died. I have a plains. It's coming back out. So that's a really cool card. I like that. Alrighty. Omnath, Locus of Rage, 3 and 2 red and 2 green. Legendary creature elemental, landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, put a 5/5 red and green elemental creature token onto the battlefield. Whenever Omnath, Locus of Rage, or another elemental you control dies, it deals 3 damage. Omnath deals 3 damage to target creature or player. It's a 5/5. It's bringing back Omnath, which is always awesome. The original Zendikar block had this legendary creature named Omnath. I use him as a commander. He's my commander for my commander deck. Really, really fun. This version of him is less focused around mana and more focused around damage, which is really cool. It's kind of a progression of you know, he's no longer about just sitting back and creating things. He's about wrecking face now. So it's awesome. My second mythic, I believe. So Eldrazi Scion token. Okay. Was that my second mythic or was that my third? Zadahedron Grinder. 3 red, 3 and a red for a legendary creature goblin ally. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets only Zadahedron Grinder, copy that spell for each other creature you control that the spell could target. Each copy targets a different one of those creatures. So similar to the other one of the other legendary, the Merfolk guy here. This is an ally that triggers whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, but this time it's only ones that target Zadahedron Grinder. So you can multiply a Giant Growth. You could just cast Giant Growth on him. That means all of your creatures potentially get Giant Growth. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, it's not potentially for all other creatures. It is for all other creatures that the spell could target. Pretty neat. Got a mountain and a plant. So if you ever saw, maybe in somebody's trade binder or maybe online, if you ever saw the full art lands, the full art basics, and you were like, I would like those, but I don't feel like spending $1 per land to get that. Well, now you can get them in this set. They're just every single pack has one. Desolation Twin. It's 10 mana. Eldrazi, 10/10. And when you cast Desolation Twin, put a 10/10 colorless Eldrazi creature token onto the battlefield. 2 10/10s for 10 is really not bad. That's a pretty good deal. And it's when you cast it. So no matter what happens, even if this card gets countered while it's on the stack, doesn't matter. There's going to be at least one 10/10 getting out there onto the battlefield. So they need two removal cards to get rid of this. Not bad. It's something that they need to figure out how to deal with that, and 2 cards or nothing. I'm trying to think if there's any way you could get around that. I mean, you know, if you cause them to discard that or something, then that would be a way to get rid of it without them gaining any value whatsoever. Void Winnower. So that's 9 mana for an Eldrazi. Your opponents can't cast spells with even converted mana costs. 0 counts as even. Your opponent can't block with creatures with even converted mana costs. 11/9. This is such a weird card, but I like it. It's I think it's supposed to highlight how bizarre the Eldrazi are, how they sort of operate on different rules, and this shuts down a lot of 2-drops. There's a lot of good 2-drops out there, and yeah, it's pretty cool. Of course, it also like, it's interesting to me because not all the Eldrazi are odd casting costed spells, so a little bit of missed flavor there maybe. But then that would be harder. It would be harder to design that because it's very important to be able to cast something on every one of your turns. So we got a foil full art island. That's not bad at all. That's going right there with all the foil stuff. And I got a swamp and a core ally. Okay, my next is Conduit of Ruin. 6 casting cost, Eldrazi, 5/5. When you cast Conduit of Ruin, you may search your library for a colorless creature card with converted mana cost 7 or greater, reveal it, then shuffle your library and put that card on top of it. The first creature spell you cast each turn costs 2 less to cast. That's really good. So it lines you up for your next drop, and then gives you a discount on it and every other thing that comes after it, as long as this guy's in play. So that's pretty great. He is a Conduit of Ruin. He's well named. We got a Forest and an Eldrazi Scion. Okay. And Brutal Expulsion. 2, a blue and a red for an instant, devoid, and it's modal, so choose one or both. Return target spell or creature to its owner's hand, and or Brutal Expulsion deals 2 damage to target creature or planeswalker. If that permanent would be put into a graveyard this turn, exile it instead. So that helps you with the whole, Eldrazi life cycle, I guess. And this does some pretty cool stuff, actually. It's a little bit, not that expensive, but being able to pop 2 cards, delay 1 card and potentially destroy another card, it's good. Being able to deal that damage to the planeswalker is good too, because if you can't kill a creature and they have a planeswalker, you can always ping the planeswalker down and sort of hold them back. I got a Mountain and an Eldrazi Scion. Come on, planeswalkers. I know it's unlikely, or it's less likely than likely that I will get one of those foil full art lands, but I like to think that it's likely that I'll get a planeswalker. Bring to Light. Oh, this is a cool card. 3, a green and a blue for a sorcery. Converge, search your library for a creature, instant, or sorcery card with converted mana cost less than or equal to the number of colors of mana spent to cast Bring to Light. Exile that card, then shuffle your library. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost. So essentially it's a tutor where you pay the cost of the card, presuming that you have enough different colors of mana to do so. And then you're just bringing it out of your deck straight onto the field. So you could do that with Siege Rhino. I use Siege Rhino just because Siege Rhino is such a good card, but you could do that with anything that's converted mana cost 4 or less, provided that you have 4 colors out. So yeah, wait, is that? Yeah, so it's 4, because even if you had 5 colors, you wouldn't be able to, oh wait, equal to, less than or equal to, yeah. So it has to be less than or equal to the number of colors. So even if you had all 5, you'd only be able to get something 4, or, yeah. Sorry, that was, confused myself there for a second, but I'm right. I got a Plains, and stupid tip card. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be negative, but tip cards are, I think that it should just be all, if they want to put an advertisement, they should just put the advertisement like on the back of the package or something like that. I think that would be more, I guess they ought to put the UPC and all that junk there, but whatever. I like tokens more than anything. Aligned Hedron Network. It's 4 casting cost artifact. When it enters the battlefield, exile all creatures with power 5 or greater until Aligned Hedron Network leaves the battlefield. So it's kind of like an O-ring that's colorless and affects all creatures with power 5 or greater. That's pretty cool, though. It's very it's like an anti-Eldrazi, as you can see right there. There's either Ulamog or one of Ulamog's spawn, and he's being roped off by these Hedrons. So they're like pylons, like traffic cones around. Please do not get too close to the giant horror. Slab Hammer. This is my foil. I got a Swamp and an Eldrazi Scion. Oh, thought I did something weird there. Angelic Captain. That's 3, a red and a white for an angel ally flying. It's 4/3. Whenever it attacks, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each other attacking ally. So that's potentially a really big guy because there's a lot of allies in this set. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that. I also heard something interesting. I didn't realize this, but the angels, if you see that, they have halos that cover their eyes. And I guess that has something to do with the Eldrazi. If you want to tell me what that is in the comments, I'd be interested in knowing. Something about like how there's certain angels, when the Eldrazi came, they were like blinded to the threat of the Eldrazi. But I don't know the lore for Zendikar perfectly because I wasn't really active when as a player when Zendikar came out. I liked the art. That was it. Ruinous Path, 1 and 2 black. For a sorcery, destroy target creature or planeswalker. Not bad. Awaken 4 for 5 and 2 black, so you can pay 5 and 2 black instead. And you would put 4 +1/+1 counters on target land you control, and it becomes a 0/0 elemental creature with haste. It's still a land. So you can make a dude and kill a dude, which is pretty cool, especially with black. Yeah, gaining board presence on in the same card that you're eroding your enemy's board presence is a good thing. All right, so we're coming around the bend here. So, Hero of Goma Fada, 4 and a white for a human knight ally. It's got Rally. Whenever Hero of Goma Fada or another ally enters the battlefield under your control, creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn. And it's a 4/3. So that is really good. You could potentially just have all your creatures indestructible at the beginning or right before your combat step. Just plunk down another ally, swing, and then they're only vulnerable at the end of the turn. So that is pretty neat. And he seems to be riding a Felidar Sovereign there, which is also pretty cool. Okay. Do I still not have any blue? I don't. Man, that's weird. I got a Kiora emblem. There's another Planeswalker that I have yet to get. Because I'm waiting on any Planeswalkers so far. This is a fun set to open, though, regardless. I like how I've just got all this huge pile of colorless and multicolor. It's a very multicolor set. Gruesome Slaughter, 6 mana for a sorcery. Until end of turn, colorless creatures you control gain tap. This creature deals damage equal to its power to target creature. In an Eldrazi deck, that means each of those creatures pretty much kill other creatures, because it's just incredibly large creatures in Eldrazi decks. The little creatures in Eldrazi decks are only to sacrifice to get the big creatures out. So you got plains and plant. Okay, so let's see what rare I have in store here. Ooh, I saw a spoiler there. Barrage Tyrant, 4 and a red for an Eldrazi. It's got Devoid, 2 and a red, sacrifice another colorless creature. Barrage Tyrant deals damage equal to the sacrificed creature's power to target creature or player. That's really rough. So yeah. To the same end that I just said with Gruesome Slaughter, this guy chucks dudes right at your opponent's face. And I got a foil Angelic Captain. So, foil version of that other card there was really good. Hey, it's a dragon. A Dagron, as we say. And let's check out the next one. Ulamog's Nullifier, Fathom Feeder. It's a blue and a black for an Eldrazi drone, as devoid, of course. It's got Death Touch and Ingest, so whenever it deals combat damage to a player, that player exiles the top card of his or her library. For 3, a blue and a black, you can draw a card. Each opponent exiles the top card of his or her library. Hey, that's pretty good. That's like that whole like processor engine. I think that can really get going with something like this guy, because then you're just you can potentially exile a lot of cards, because they're not going to want to block because he's got Death Touch. So they'll say, yeah, sure, but then you'll give them a lot of fodder to pull out of their exiled area for something like an Eldrazi processor. So fun. I don't know if viable, but definitely fun. Here is an Omnath Elemental. He's like a little baby Omnath. He's awesome. Okay. Smoldering Marsh. So, Smoldering Marsh enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more basic lands, and it produces either black or red. And this is important, it's also a swamp and a mountain. So anything that searches out swamps or mountains can search for Smoldering Marsh. And yeah, they're calling these tango lands, because it takes 2 to tango. Get it? Haha. I don't know how I feel about that, but it's, you know, they're not as good as like a shock land, but they're still gonna see play because in standard, because they're I mean, the fact that they're searchable for the swamp or the mountain, that's pretty good. That's decent. I'll put that with these. Okay, and I got an island and an elemental. Okay, culling drone, blah blah blah. Herald of Kozilek is a uncommon Endless One. So Endless One has X casting cost and enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. It starts at 0/0. That's a very, very simple. He kind of looks like Ulamog, except he's got just as many arms and heads and tentacles as you can pay for. So it's pretty cool. I like how he's pretty much, he can come into play whenever you need him, but obviously you want him to come into play when you've got tons of mana. Eldrazi Scion and a mountain. Okay. Ugin's Insight. 3 and 2 blue for a sorcery. Scry X, where X is the highest converted mana cost among permanents you control. Then draw 3 cards. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Especially, interestingly enough, even though Ugin is against the Eldrazi, his Insight would work really well in Eldrazi deck. But yeah, being able to scry a lot potentially for that's really good. You could just really just go through your deck. It's also the first blue rare that I have, so hooray. Didn't get through this entire box without getting a blue rare. Let's keep going. Only have a few cards, or a few packs left, man. This went by fast. Hey, not too shabby at all. That's exactly what I wanted. 2 and 2 white for a Gideon ally of Zendikar. So he's a Planeswalker, Gideon. For his +1, until end of turn, he becomes a 5/5 human soldier ally creature with Indestructible that's still a Planeswalker. Prevent all damage that would be dealt to him this turn. So this is interesting. He does not enter the battlefield as one. So end of the battlefield effects from things like Rally, they don't work with him, but they do work on him. If something affects an ally, and a lot of things in this set do, they'll affect Gideon while he's a creature. So yeah, that's good. Then for 0, put a 2/2 white Knight ally creature token onto the battlefield, so you can make more allies. For -4, you get an emblem with creatures you control get +1/+1. So that's also pretty good, because you can just make multiple emblems if you want, and just continue to just pump and pump and pump your creatures. So that's cool. Thank you, Gideon, for restoring my faith in the magic of, well, the magic of magic, I guess. I don't know. Plummet as a foil. And I got Forest. And to go with my Gideon, a Gideon emblem. Not bad. Not bad at all, guys. I was looking for a Planeswalker, and I got me one. Planar Outburst, 3 and 2 white for a sorcery. Destroy all non-land creatures. You can awaken for 4, awaken 4 for 5 and 3 white. So, so for 8 mana, you can destroy all non-land creatures and make a land creature, which is pretty powerful. Yeah, I could see this being played in a deck that, I mean, just having a board wipe is useful, period, but having a board wipe that has synergy with things that are man lands and so forth, it's also really good. Okay, Prairie Stream. So this is the blue-white version of the Tangle Land. Enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more basic lands. Cool. Very simple. Mountain and a core ally. Alright. Second to last pack. And I get an Oblivion Sower. When you cast Oblivion Sower, target opponent exiles the top 4 cards of his or her library. Then you may put any number of land cards that player owns from exile onto the battlefield under your control. 5/8. Really cool. So he immediately, helps his own ability, but also works with ingesters, etc. So that's pretty neat, because it doesn't matter what land you're snagging, because you're colorless. It's fine. So he's a little expensive to be essentially a mana generator, but it is kind of nice because you're stealing them from your ally. I mean, from your opponent. Another one there. I really don't have enough space for all the colorless multicolor guys. This is a very creature heavy set, in case you haven't noticed, like looking out at all this. Last pack, guys. What am I gonna get? Painful Truths, 2 and a black for sorcery with Converge. You draw X cards and you lose X life, where X is the number of colors of mana spent to cast Painful Truths. So max 3. So drawing 3 cards for 3 is not too bad. Yeah, drawing 3 cards for 3 and paying 3 life, that's easy. The hard part is getting out 3 different colors of mana, which, you can do. I trust you. And I got a Swamp and another baby Omnath. Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. You can win, because we have a contest, you can win half a booster box of Battle for Zendikar, and hopefully you have better luck pulling the super duper expedition lands than I had here. It's honestly it's a pretty low chance of getting them, so I didn't want to hype too much about that. That's why I made it more about getting a Planeswalker, which I did. Um, but yeah, they're going for a super ton right now. So if you want a chance to win that, you should look in the description below for instructions for how to enter. It's the same as our other contests. You comment on this this video in the comments below, or you comment on Facebook. Tell me which of these cards that I drew was your favorite. It doesn't have to be the most powerful. It's completely randomly drawn. Just tell me what you liked the most. So it could be a joke card. People have won on that. People have said, oh, well, this card would make a good commander for my commander deck, therefore that's my favorite. It doesn't matter because it's all going to get randomly drawn anyways. You also you could share this video on Facebook, or you could like the post that I'm going to link on Facebook, and you'll be entered for a chance to win. There's going to be 2 winners. Each winner will win half a booster box, a Battle for Zendikar, and the end of that contest is going to be November 1st. So all the rest of September and the entire month of October you have to enter. So get on that, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching me. I enjoyed opening this. This is a pretty neat looking set, and there's always the excitement of pulling one of those expensive cards, and so I enjoyed it. And happy opening Battle for Zendikar yourself, because I know a lot of you out there are looking to get those expedition lands. All right, take care, and we'll see you next time.